Call the meeting to order. September meeting. Please can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Consideration of the August 8th meeting minutes. I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Let's second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. That better?
No, much better.
So the minutes are accepted. Incidents? Report.
All right, I'll start that up. So incidents, we'll start with incident cases year to date. For the month of August, we had 44 incidents. That's up 1. So it's an increase of 2.33 from the month of July. And that's with 55 offenses with those incidents. And you can see all the backup data with that. The arrest, up to date, we had a decrease of 44%. 14 arrests in the month of in August, with July having 25. So it was a good decrease regarding it, and you can see all the data that's with it in there. So traffic stops, August, we did have a decrease there too, of 34.86%. 71 down from 109 coming from July. 12 tickets were given out, so it's a 14.9% chance of getting a ticket out in the streets. And you'll see all the backup data there from the streets and all that. Collisions, we evened out, no change, 15 in the month of July, 15 in the month of August. At least it's down from June and May, which were 21 and 24, so we'll keep that for right now. But at the streets, it's your usual Center Street, South Main Street, and North Main Street are our big hits that come out from that. And then you'll see all the personal data analysis report of all the officers. Just remember, they do rotate, so they're in different shifts all the time. They are working extra shifts based on the staffing. You'll see our parking tickets for the month of August were 55. So you got all that. Compared to that from last year, parking tickets we had 47. So we did have an increase from last year. But as you'll remember, August, we'll do total of the year incidents. For 2024, we're up to 392. Compare that from last year, we would be at 421. So we have a little decrease going in incidents. Parking tickets for last year total, for really the summer, was 216. And for this year, we're at 270. So we do have an increase there in the officers being downtown and parking tickets. And then you'll see the prosecutors list. So we had, 6 cases go in August? So that's a decrease from last month. Remember the sheet. That's not too many cases going in monthly there. So most of them are found guilty, put on fine, couple put on file, but most of them are pled guilty. And I do, which I didn't send to you guys, is the gas and diesel gallons. So from July to August, the actual price went down from 303 to 284. So that's actually pretty good. The department used 541 gallons, which come out to 1,538 for the month. So we are still at 49.2%. Near the end of August, I think we should have been around, 58, so close to 60. So we're doing pretty good there. Good. The balance. So that's all I got, because there's no, school's just starting, so next month I'll have the SRO reports.
Any questions?
No, none.
Chief? Captain's items. Chief?
Thank you. It was fairly quiet. As the season changes, we have noticed some difference. I think the most frustrating thing for us, as well as everybody else in Wolfeboro, seems to be the construction that's ongoing in front of the town offices, coming down. And it's been difficult on Main Street. We are doing what we can to assist the folks in the one-lane traffic. The officers have been, we all have been watching the flaggers to make sure that they're doing the best they can with regard to moving the traffic back and forth and not locking up one side too long. Well, that, I was trying not to. Is that better? Wow.
He did a good job at that.
See, we are scheduling a department meeting. We try to do those once every 3 or 4 months. Get up to speed as to what's been going on with the different shifts and the different particular missions that I have the officers working on for the department. This next 2 weeks, we will be meeting with various vendors of firearms and soft body armor. I did do a audit of the current firearms. I've had conversations with our firearms instructors, as well as take a look at what we have for soft body armor for the officers, and it's time to take a look at that and see if we can get a better deal and a better product, and I think we can. In that realm, I have been working with the captain, who has in turn been working with a couple of our officers with regard to property and evidence, maintenance, and auditing. As part of the whole accreditation process, I am reminded of how important evidence audits are, and the moving of product or property from anyone to a police officer, it does fall under a policy that has to be followed. It can't be like it was back in the old days. You have to verify where everything goes and be able to put your finger on it in a moment's notice. So we're getting to that point as well. The public safety building continues. We are in a very good spot to kind of watch and see what's happening, since it's happening to us. We are in phase 2. It appears that we're on track to February still of 2025 to begin phase 3. The public lobby of the police department and fire station will be closed tomorrow. Are they only going to do tomorrow? Is it Monday?
It's actually
as
a
well?
whole week.
All week. What they're doing is they're refacing that front of the building. And in emergencies, we can get the public in the building. A temporary ramp has been constructed in the employees' entrance, but we would ask that anyone who has business with the police department, if they can contact us, an officer will be dispatched to you instead of the other way around.
So if you do come to the police department during this time, as he mentioned, the front door will not be able to access and it will be blocked off. There will be a side door, which is the employees' access. It will be locked. Knock on it. If you can't knock on it, there's a sign out there with the police department's number. So if you could go back and call there, or you are on camera and eventually an officer will come out there and meet you.
We are in the beginning throes of budget season, and we have been working, the staff has been working together on different pieces of the budget, and we're trying to get all the department involved in one way or another and having say into what they feel is important as part of the budget, so that we can have a much clearer budget for everybody, so that it's very transparent and we can answer questions that come about. And lastly, for me, I've been making a lot of trips to local businesses and organizations. I've been getting some tours to some of the places and some of the senior housing. I appreciate the welcoming that I have been getting over these past 7 months or 8 months, and That's going to continue. I hope to visit some more businesses, and by this time, next meeting, I should have them all done by then. We are also, as part of our data program that the police department uses for their police records, it does have the opportunity for the officers, as you might have noticed, we have the MDTs and the computers in the cruisers. We have the opportunity to pull up photographs on the department, on the MDTs. What we're doing now is I've tasked the communications department with getting pictures of at least all the retail businesses in town, uploading those into the computer, into the data program for the records. So if the officer wants to see what this particular business looks like, especially since we have 2 brand-new officers starting shortly, they can pull it up and they can confirm that they are at the right location so that there's no confusion. And we're hoping to spread that to houses, private residences with alarms and that type of thing. That information is only going to be accessible by the officers. But that's what we're working on now. And that's what I have.
You touched on the 2 new officers. Could you just advise us of where they are in the process right now?
Yeah, I ask you that every few days. We have 2 officers in. The first officer is graduating October 4th. And the other officer is graduating 6 weeks after.
November 15th.
Yeah. November 16th?
15th.
15th.
Friday.
Friday the 15th. So they're 6 weeks apart. So by the 15th of November, we will have 2 officers in field training, and we have 2 positions still to go to fill. We have one that is being, that has had a conditional offer, and we have one still open position.
Any questions, Kevin?
I do not.
Commissioners' items, a couple things I'd like to mention. I'm sure everyone has noticed that Steve Woods is here today. He is actually on vacation, and we wish him well. And Sherry, who is also administrative assistant, is not here, and she had a prior appointment tonight and had to leave. And that's where we're at with that. And our next meeting will be Thursday, October 10th, here in the Great Hall at 6 p.m. Thursday, October 10th at 6 p.m. Kevin, anything to add to that?
Nothing.
Board of Selectmen's rep. Sure. Oh, Tom, you want to go?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
I love it when people do this. Thank you. Hi, Paul O'Brien, member of the Board of Selectmen. First things first, thanks for what you did all summer. Thank you for your presence. Thanks for what's been going on. It's nice to see you all around and not in a hurry to do things that unfortunately sometimes you have to do. So appreciate that. Let me go backwards from just a couple of days ago. For those of the people out there who came and voted the other day, I find that this is a social event for the town. It was really great to be in this hall with 20 people, police officers, the fire chief, volunteers. We had about 1,863 people cast ballots. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And some of us, not me, but some of us stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning helping Pat Waterman get the ballots ready so she could brief the press. So that person happens to be sitting up at your table, so thanks to the captain. But it was just a bunch of fun, and it always, as it always does, it worked out extremely well. We are beginning budget season. Actually, it's underway, if you haven't felt the ground quaking. Jim, our town manager, is beginning his therapy sessions with his town managers tomorrow. And those will be ongoing, and you all will have a wonderful opportunity to do that. The first glimpse at the budget is never the one that you want to talk about because it normally turns out to be that doesn't make a bunch of sense. So I'm not going to characterize where we are with the budget other than it's probably not the right time to talk about how, what the size of it is. It'll work itself down, we hope. Yes, we're continuing to do more outside work and appreciate all the help of the people, especially those who have to sit in queue on traffic, either coming up the hill or down the hill from North Main or South Main. It's going to go on. It should be done soon. That's all I can say, soon. Route 109A, as you know, is being paved. That's being done as a state road. It's being paved as we speak. It's not going to be a grind it up and redo it. It's simply a top coat, which should last, hopefully, some period of time. Much better than what we've all experienced driving up 109A for the past 10 years. It's almost like bumping cars as you go along. Last evening, we had a visit by Barry Muccio from the Municipal Electric Department telling us what to prospectively expect if this Pickering Corner down to past the high school project takes place for the Route 28 project. Senators Bradley and a couple of other members of the delegation were here and offered their help to try to help us with New Hampshire DOT, who, by the way, has done a great job, but there's always questions about how roads get done. It's not a done deal, but it's highly likely that there may be we're having a conversation at the board about this, but I think it makes sense that we might have a referendum type warrant article to talk about the roundabouts and should we or shouldn't we have roundabouts or enhanced paving or striping on stop signs and those dreaded things that have light bulbs on them. So there may be a referendum as to what voter choice might be about. There's a lot going on, so I'm not going to belabor it, but the reason I brought those up is they directly affect you folks because you have to go out there and maintain sanity while people are trying to traverse traffic, and as well as the budget thing. But thanks for what you're doing. It feels different. It feels like we're just kind of moving in a good direction. So glad to take any questions. Hearing none, I'm going to go sit down. Thank you.
Thanks. Budget Committee Rep, Paul?
Tom Bell, the liaison from the Budget Committee to the PD, and our next meeting is Monday. It's the third meeting, and I start to think about where we are relative to the town's considerations for how much increase and all that. But suffice it to say that I've been following, where you all have been with the spend and the challenge that it's been to keep that default budget in place, and you've done very well. So certainly appreciate your diligence there. Other than that, nothing substantive to report, but I will gather notes from the meeting on Monday and let everybody know what's transpired. Any questions there? All right, thank you.
Chairman, we do have one item that we neglected to bring to attention, and that was the crosswalk in front of Carpenter School.
Yeah, oh, yes. So, Chief, actually, you want to?
Do you want to just set the stage, Chief?
Well, did you set a stage for me? You set the table?
So, I guess we could have a discussion about an employee position in reference to the crosswalk in front of the Carpenter School.
Thank you. The Carpenter School, which we see right next door, has a crosswalk, and well, it has a few. And what we've noticed recently with the increase in traffic, perhaps the construction as well has just exacerbated the situation, and parking being difficult at best. I bring about a history of law enforcement in different communities throughout my own career. And what I have found is a need for certain schools depending on where they're located, to have folks in the crosswalk or next to a busy road assisting parents and/or their children across that street. Unfortunately, what happens is oftentimes people either in their car or on their feet aren't paying as much attention as perhaps they should. And it's incumbent upon the police department in every town to provide for a safe environment. We certainly are charged with doing the best we can to prevent crime, but we're also here to prevent bad things from happening to good people, and that's to provide a safety. One of those things is school crosswalks. Recently, I had a conversation with both the captain and a few other members of the community about the Carpenter School. And I noticed that the duty officer was doing traffic in the morning and the afternoon, which really means doing the crosswalk duty. And that's fine if they're available. And I said, well, what happens if they're not available and we're tied up with something, or perhaps we're all at the same thing? Maybe there's a crash out on 109E or something that requires everybody's attendance to. What happens at the crosswalk? Well, there's nobody there to cover it. Okay, that is unacceptable. And the reason why that's unacceptable is because it's something that folks are getting used to having. It's a safety that people look for and hope for. It makes us all feel a little bit more comfortable, especially in this day and age of, unfortunately, drivers and cell phones. So we then had to think about how are we going to resolve that. My resolution has been in the past and is now tonight, finding an individual that will give their time to the town of Wolfeboro to function as a crossing guard. This is not a long day. It's an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon at the most, but it has to be somebody who's dependable, somebody that we know is going to be there, that we will outfit, that we will train, and that we will depend on to assist the folks across the street and to provide for the safety of the school kids. I have to admit, I thought of Bernie right away. In fact, he's better attending these things than I am. Never misses a meeting, always dependable. We contacted Bernie and we asked him to come talk to us about it. He was very positive about the possibility. Would like to go forward with that. We did discuss what I think to be a fair pay for what we're asking him to do, but it would require the police commission to offer him a part-time position within the police department as a crossing guard. So tonight I would ask you to consider that and to put Bernie on as of Tuesday.
Any questions, this discussion?
I don't, I would support that 100%, and being, having the years in the business I have, that, and I've noticed it here, and here again is no different than anywhere else, and that there is times when the duty officer cannot be there, that he or she finds themselves somewhere else answering a call for service. And I find that unacceptable also. If we can figure out a way to make someone's presence there more consistent, I'd be for that 100%.
I guess from my standpoint, I think I agree with you. Sometimes police officers, have other duties that pull them away from that responsibility. And, all of us can agree that as we drive up and down, South Main Street in that area during the time when school is either, letting in or letting out, it's busy. And sometimes it can be hectic. And especially where, youth are below the top of your hood, you may not see them if they're crossing by themselves, So it does make sense to have someone there, in a safety capacity, specifically looking out for the community's youth. But I also think, does the school not have a responsibility, in this as well? But then as I thought and played that out, the administrators, and faculty within Carpenter School, they have their duties and responsibilities that that they have to partake in as well. So I think we would be in the same situation, with faculty and staff at Carpenter School where they're piecemealing it to make sure that it's covered. And what happens if no one is, available? And now we're in the same situation. So I think, from my perspective, it does make sense to have someone dedicated, to that crosswalk, duties and responsibilities for the safety of our, especially the kids in Carpenter School. So I support it 100%.
Okay, just so you are aware, and I probably didn't mention this, Bernie would be under the supervision of the sergeants. He would be checked on, for lack of a better term, by the patrol officers. If there's any need for anything, he's certainly going to be checked with as they can. The conversation you just had included the school and what they do, and that did cross my mind as well. We do, as you know, we have 2 SROs up at the middle and high school. And in the afternoon, both those officers have a requirement to assist both to keep the peace around the buses when the kids are getting on the bus, as well as to assist at McManus Road as the traffic gets that much more crazy. At the Carpenter School, I've noticed that the staff is assisting the students on the school grounds, and that's where I think that they're best suited. As far as in the road, I think that's where our people are best suited. And certainly the RSA is protective of school crossing guards. So we are going to be very, very well aware of what Bernie's doing, and he's going to be in constant communication with us as well. He will also serve as kind of a teacher. What I've noticed as I've come through in that section of North Main is kids and parents both don't use the crosswalk. They see a break and they cut through cars to get to the other side. I've also seen it out on the Main Street, and I've spoken to a few people about it. That's a lot more dangerous because there is some folks that when they drive, they'll go a certain speed, they'll slow down when they see the crossbars, and then they'll speed up again and slow down at the crossbars. And when folks are crossing between them, that's where it gets most dangerous. Mr. Walensky is going to be there for that purpose as well. He's going to be a teacher. So it kind of is apropos. He does have background and experience and that sort of thing as well. And I will be doing a background investigation just because that's what we do at the police department.
Last question, how does the budget absorb this position?
With this year, as we discussed, the budget is doing very well, even with the default with our department. We do have some open positions, so that's where we are at. So there's no effect. It's very minimal for this year.
And it's based on 180 days of the school cycle a year. So it's a relatively small piece of the budget.
So it would not result in an increase in the budget? What was it? Is that the question?
I don't think it would. I think it's that small.
Yeah.
So you won't see it.
Mind
We'll
taking-
chat with you about that.
Few changes that we do have. Yep. Yeah, you won't see an increase in salaries, other than what the union decides to do with their.
Any input on that, Paul?
I think it's a great idea. Safety of the kids is pretty important. It's also a fun thing to see, children and parents doing what they do. It's also dangerous. And I kind of agree with the chief that cell phones tend to get in the way of driving safety. As it relates to how this all works, you have talk the business side, you have a pair of shoes, you got to stay inside those pairs of shoes. But I think what you're trying to do is quite smart, keeps the resources focused in the right place. Hard to argue that that's a bad idea. Thanks.
Chief, Kevin, just a quick math, so we're talking like $9,000 a year?
Correct.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
That's very minimal.
Okay, well, based upon that discussion and everyone's concurrence, I'll make a motion to have the PD make an offer to Bernie in that capacity for this school year.
I would second it. All in favor?
Aye,
That's all I have.
thank you.
I'll entertain a motion. If anyone have anything else to add? Offer? Oh, yeah, from the public.
Then I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.